What is up, nerds? Welcome back to episode 52 of the PP podcast. We're just gonna start calling it the PP podcast. It's two podcasts in a row. We're just gonna roll with it. Everybody at the courts calls me Mr. PP. It's just we're just gonna lean into it. But anyway, I'm Mr. PP, aka Lewis from Pickleball Pursuit, here with my co-host Justin from Pickleball Etc. And we got some stuff to talk about. Justin, how you been, man?
Good. We'll get into it. Okay. We're gonna talk about it.
We're gonna talk.
But yeah,
about
good
it.
enough. Honestly,
is this a therapy session?
First world problems. First world problems. So all in all, I've been great.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Besides that, we'll talk about your tournament update.
Mm.
Saw on your Instagram you played in a 4-5 tournament.
I did.
We'll get into that a little bit. Want to talk about touching on some balls.
We're going to touch on some balls, as always.
And playing with balls and how that goes for us.
Yep.
We'll
There's
get into
some
paddles,
squishy
of
ones,
course.
too.
This week, I feel like we got fewer paddles than usual, but maybe that's not a bad thing. Some weeks I feel like I'm just, a stack of 10 paddles over here.
Yeah.
And beyond that, we're going to talk a little bit about paddle switching, speaking of stacks of 10 paddles. And then we'll get into our normal segments. New week, new main, what are we playing with? And in NERDTOWN, I'm going to talk a little bit about balance point versus swing weight, how they're correlated, and which one might actually matter to you. So that said, tell us about the tournament, man.
All right. Well, your boy played in 4-5. This was probably the first time I've played in 4-5 where I didn't feel like I was getting carried. Played with a great partner in BJ. The only guy at the pickleball facilities that makes me look like I'm a little baby. Dude's huge.
He's tall. How tall is he? 6'5"?
He's got to be
6'6"?
at the very least 6'4". I think he tells me he's 6'4", but he
dwarfs
dwarfs me. He dwarfs over me. If you saw the story, I looked like a child standing next to him. He wears a size 14 shoe. He can only wear the Adidas Cybersonic and Barricades. That's literally it. But he's a lefty. I played on the left. He played on the right. Obviously, we full stacked the entire tournament. Went really well. We flowed really well. There was one or two things that I think we could improve on as a partnership, and then just a couple things skill-wise that we can improve on. And we're probably winning almost every game in that tournament. We got fourth place. Wow. Went 3-1 in pool play. We started 3-0. Started out real hot. Beat a really good team. Then we beat another really solid team, and then we beat a team that probably shouldn't have been in there, if I'm being honest. They should have been playing in a different division. But I think that kind of wrecked our flow. We were just we won 3 games. We're definitely in the playoffs now. At least for me. I probably should have stepped it up in the 4th game, but we lost the 4th game, and then we won in the quarterfinals pretty easily, and then we went to the semis, lost to the future gold team, 6-11, and then 12-14. Had a game point on them too. Yeah, we were playing really good. It was a really, really good game. This young kid named Christian, he's 14, absolute baller, playing with this other kid named Lee, who's one of the pros at a indoor facility in New Orleans. Really, both of them really good players. They ended up winning it, but couldn't pull it out in the semis, and then we just fell flat in the bronze match. Played never pull out, dude. I can never pull it out. No matter how hard I try, it's just ingrained in me. But I tell you what, we competed really well all day in every game, and that was all that I could ask for. I told BJ, I was like, brother, I was worried I was going to let you down big time in this tournament, but I feel like I held my own. I controlled a lot of points and dictated a lot of points, and I don't like to, say a bunch of positive things about myself usually, but I feel like this was the first tournament I'm like, yep, I feel like I'm there. I finally did well. Okay. So it was good. 4th place, super happy with that.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So
14
Just to balance
teams.
you out. Say
So it was
a
a
negative thing.
deep tournament as well.
That is solid. But yeah, just to balance out your self-compliments there, let's get some self-deprecation. What was like the one thing, not that you did badly that day, but that you felt like, oh, in a tournament at the 4-5 level, this is something that I don't have yet, or I'm not good enough at yet to succeed at this level?
Oh, man, I got to stop giving dead fourths. Like, they hit a really good drop. I had about 3 dead fourths in the second game of the semifinals that, had I not hit those, I think we probably would have won the game. Like, that was those
What do you
gave away.
want to do instead? What are you saying?
Oh, I
If
just
they
need to
hit a
hit.
good drop, what can you do?
I just need to be better about making it unattackable.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
not saying be aggressive with the fourths, just you want to be able to hit less attackable fourths if someone
Yeah.
hits a good drop. Even if you have to concede the kitchen,
Oh, yeah.
just
No.
a less attackable fourth.
And Lee, he hit those like kind of higher slice backhand drops that would just drop right in the kind of the, not the pressurized zone, but just before the pressurized zone. So you would have to take it out of the air or step back and take it off the bounce and just be like, oh, yeah, you definitely have the kitchen. But I took a lot out the air mistakenly and left a few high, hit a couple in the net. So it just, that's definitely the play. Need to improve that. Thirds were pretty good. My drives were getting us a lot of points, like a lot. But fourths were
That's awesome.
definitely the Achilles heel, if you will.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
No, I've been,
Yeah.
using the ball machine. I told you that fourths was something I was specifically working on. I agree with you that once you get to higher levels, like it's so obvious, especially 4-5, 5-0 and above. If you don't hit a good drop, the fourths at that level are just way better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's much harder to make it in as the serving team, of course, but then also, as the receiving team who's hitting the fourths, you need to do the same thing or else they get to the line for free. So, yeah, I'm with you. Okay. Anything else in the tournament?
Man, had a great time. Shout out to Stacks Pickleball. If you are in the Louisiana area, highly suggest going to play at Stacks. You've played there before. It gets pretty lit, especially those MLP tournaments. They get pretty wild. It's in a good way.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Good community.
I've said this before, but every time I go there, and now it's been like 4 or 5 times or something. I've gone there, played tournaments, played at Stacks, and we'll play multiple times over the weekend or the time while I'm there. And I always feel a little jealous when I come home, and I'm like, man, we don't have a place like that. We don't have a community like that where people are just there to play, and it's like all about. It's very competitive, but also at the same time, it's very social, and it gets really hype. And the tournaments are cool. The people actually stay and like watch. And cheer on, which isn't always the case at tournaments. A lot of times you play at tournaments and you feel like you're just playing your own isolated little game. But there it feels like you always have somebody watching and saying something. So it's cool.
Especially the gold medal matches.
In a good way.
The gold medal, people are watching and cheering. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. You want to touch on some balls?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. We're gonna get the first ball here, which is the new Franklin. This is the quiet or the.
Yeah, I got these.
What do they call it? The silent serve. Yeah. So they're quiet pickleballs, as you guys can see right here. They are squishy. You can squish them. They're kind of like a foamy feel to them, not plasticky. And they are. I think they were saying they're more designed not necessarily for like trying to like mimic high level pickleball play. It's like for people who live in quiet neighborhoods and to help with like juniors and like kids, because they bounce really high and they change the feel of the game drastically.
Yeah.
I would say these feel nothing like a real pickleball.
A training ball, let's call it that. Or if you did live in a quiet neighborhood and this was your only way to play, then sure. I mean, it's going to be slightly different than regular pickleball, but if you're using a quiet paddle, it's also slightly different. If you have to use a hush or anything like that. So regardless, if you live in a quiet neighborhood, you're not maybe getting the exact same pickleball that everyone else gets either way. So this is an option. You can use regular paddles and this. It really isn't that loud. Whoops.
No.
But yeah, I'm with you. It bounces true at least. Like it's not a crazy bounce, but
It's
I was
high.
just like playing inside, kind of training with it against the wall. And yeah, it bounces really high. So for dinks and stuff, the ball bounces much higher than a regular ball. If you're just like doing fast hands, it actually comes back pretty hot.
Yeah,
Because it's bouncy.
I was going to touch on that. I was going to say, if you are someone who like wants to drill inside, like against your wall, and you don't have like a dink wall, and you like want to be relatively quiet, this is a good alternative to a plastic ball, and it won't damage your wall too. So, yeah.
Another thing that's different from a regular ball, and this could be taken as a positive or a negative, but the weight, it's significantly heavier. Before this podcast, we were talking about this, and I went ahead and weighed it, and it's like 33 grams, which a normal ball is like in the 26, 27, 28 gram range. So to be, let's just call it 5 to 7 grams heavier. It doesn't sound like a lot, 5 to 7 grams, but that's a significant percentage of the weight, and you can absolutely feel it on the paddle.
Oh,
And the reason why I said maybe this is a good or a bad thing is because you really notice it if you hit off center. It's like the extra weight and thud of this ball off center tries to twist the paddle a lot more than a normal ball would. So good or bad. Maybe you want to know every time you miss a sweet spot, because if you hit it in the sweet spot, obviously it's not trying to twist the paddle.
Yeah.
But so yeah, versus a regular ball, bounces higher, is heavier, of course is quieter. But this isn't trying to compete with the regular balls. So just another training ball. I don't actually have any of the other quiet foam balls like the Gamma Librarian or anything to compare to. So I can't say how it compares to those.
Yeah, I played with the Librarian one time, and it was a long time ago, so I couldn't even give an honest comparison. But these will kind of clap almost. What it was probably like the best way to describe it. The inner sides, whenever you hit the ball, like on a drive, you'll hit. You'll hear the sound of the inner walls clapping together. But it's still
totally smushes.
Yeah, it's much quieter than a regular ball. It's also, and I don't know how, I've played like a drill session with this, like a couple of games of 7-Eleven, and it completely nullifies almost any bit of your paddle. So like your paddle almost doesn't matter. Like if you just have a typical 16 millimeter paddle, a Yola and a Mach 2 Forza are going to perform almost exactly the same with this ball. So it's kind of a neutralizer in that respect. But definitely not going to give you the same experience as a real pickleball. So just know that, which is why I wouldn't recommend this to anybody who's looking for that in a quiet ball. But, if you're looking to teach your kid how to play and want a ball that bounces a little higher, or you live in a quiet neighborhood, maybe check these out. Grab a couple, a 3-pack and see if it's for you. But this is definitely something that I would not be playing with really ever.
I don't have a use for it personally.
Yeah.
What you just said is a perfect segue to the next part, where you said like, when the ball is this kind of hot or lively, it almost doesn't matter what paddle you're playing with. And we didn't even talk about this before, but this is something that I've been thinking on for a while now, and I'm not the only person, of course. John Q, testing his Canon, has talked about how the core of the ball, the coefficient of restitution of the ball, and all that actually is such a larger factor in the equation than even paddles are. Like different balls bounce differently and are hotter or not. And honestly, if you want to affect the game that you're playing with all 4 people and how powerful it is, the easiest and most drastic way to do that is with balls. And this is particularly relevant right now because of the sort of rise of the lifetime ball. I know it's been around for a while, but of course now that it's the official ball of the PPA, it's getting sold more. More people are playing with it, and it's hot. So this is not totally new, because we used to play with Duras, back in the day, and Duras were crazy hot, but it feels a little different now because the lifetimes are very fast. They bounce very high, and then they break in to be really nice. We never got to experience that with the Duras. It was like Duras were really fast, really hard. They didn't particularly bounce high, and then they just break. They would just crack or go crazy out of rounds. So we never got to see like, hey, what is a used Dura like? because a used Duro is just in the trash can. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, you got like 8 games with those.
So, let me tell my story real quick, and then we'll do some comparisons.
Let's talk about your favorite ball.
Mentioned at the time. Oof. Well, you said how was I this week? Saturday morning, we have like this advanced open play group, and
I didn't know you were advanced like that. Wow.
Oh well, advanced for my tiny, very non-advanced town. They're not getting good players here. So anyway, all that to say, I had my worst pickleball day that I've had in, I don't know, well over a year at least. It was shocking. It was so bad that I literally was like, I gotta leave. I just packed up my stuff and left early. Hadn't even been there for an hour. I can't remember if I've ever done that before. Yes, it was
an hour. Bad. You weren't even there for an hour. That's really bad.
Yeah. So, and I had to just pack up and leave because pickleball is meant to be fun, and the amount that I was struggling, I was not having fun. And anyway, all that to say is, bringing it back to the ball, this is my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Yep.
It may not be accurate, but I've been playing with like nothing but lifetime balls for weeks now, and then I went to this advanced group, and it was X40s. They were bouncing like crazy low to me, and then also it's just like that in combination with how many paddles I've been testing recently, switching paddles all the time, and then switching the ball, which like we said actually has more of an effect maybe than switching paddles. I had zero feel. Like, of course I could still hit serves and drives, right? Because those don't really take feel, but trying to hit drops, resets, dinks, fifths, you know, all this stuff, good luck to me, dude. It was all over the place. Bottom of the net, 10 feet high, just horrible. So it was sad, dude. I mean, I think I just lost 6 games in a row and was like, I'm leaving. And not close. I think a lot of those were like 11-1, 11-3. It was shocking. I was like, I can't play. So all that to say, let's talk about maybe how the lifetime ball compares to what is the most popular ball, the Franklin X40, and then a little sub comparison of the lifetime ball versus a used lifetime ball.
All right, so I've been playing with primarily Franklins, just got some new lifetimes in, and I did like the first thing I did was I went and grabbed a brand new lifetime and a brand new X40, held them in the same hand, dropped them, and just tested which one was going to bounce higher. And every single time the lifetime bounced maybe like 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch higher from like, about shoulder height for me, which is probably, 5 feet, 6 inches, somewhere around there. And then, that just confirmed everyone's suspicion that they do bounce a little bit higher, especially when they're new. Played in a drill session with Edwin and Louie, and they hated the lifetime ball. They hated it. They're like, this ball it bounces too high. You can't get any shape on it. I
haven't experienced that no shape thing, honestly, personally. No, I think it spins just fine.
I think it spins great, yeah. I think it's just the fact that it was flying out for a lot further than they were expecting was what kind of...
Oh, it's hot when it's new.
Connected. So, it's a hot ball. It really is, especially brand new. We played a like full drill session, and it was not broken in. Like, it was not. No. It needs a lot of time. You say around like 5 games, right?
Yeah, and you'll hear other people, say different things. It only takes half a game. Yeah, right.
No. It takes way longer.
Even like John basically firing it at a cinder block out of his cannon was like talking about the point in which it kind of falls off and then levels off. And I'm pretty sure he said 120 hits. That's 120, probably at like 50 or 60 miles an hour into a cinder block, right? So you can maybe equate those to a drive. You're not hitting 120 drives in half a game.
No.
But you might get that many kind of serves, drives, returns, blocks over the course of maybe 5 games, right?
Yeah.
So to me, that's where it loosens up. And I was holding up some balls earlier. I'll kind of show you. This, just to show you the color, X40 is very yellow. Of course, we're all used to this. Mm-hmm. This is another thing that people complain about the lifetimes. The lifetime is like a greener color.
Yeah, a little duller.
Yeah, and then this is a broken in lifetime, definitely more dull. My experience is that outdoors, like as long as it's not dusk or dawn, no problem. It's fine outdoors. Indoors, depending on the lighting, they can be a little bit tougher. They're still not as bad as a Selkirk, though.
Yeah.
So visually. So anyway, so this is a quote unquote broken in lifetime, and it's crazy that we call this broken in because this one probably has 50 games on it. This is about the point where it's getting close to being retired. And you can kind of tell the logo. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it is pretty much gone. And that's kind of been my litmus gauge. Once the logo's totally gone, then I'm usually like I'm out on it at that point, because that's when it starts to kind of slow down, and usually after that point it's going to crack. But again, we're talking about like 50 games. So if you're playing 8 to 10 games a session, that's 5, 6, 7 sessions. That's way more than any other ball.
One ball.
Yeah, one specific ball. So, and they play really good the whole time. Like the bounce is really consistent. The first 5 games is when it's kind of rough, and that's like, this is a brand new one. You can see the logo there.
Yeah.
But so I got 100 of these because I like them. I think they're the best ball. And my plan was I'll just put them in the ball machine, and then I'll break them in the ball machine. And then when I need some for play, I'll snag a couple out of there and put them on my back. It's not working.
Yeah.
So
I didn't want to burst the bubble, but you'd have to do like 30 sessions before they're broken in.
I was going to say, I'm like 5 sessions in, right, with the ball machine. And every single ball in there, I mean, it has like a little scuffs and marks on it, but it still basically plays like a new ball. I tried to pull one out the other day, like, oh, is this working? It just played like brand new. And I mean, I realized the math now. Maybe I refill the ball machine, 7 times every session. So that means I hit one ball 7 times.
Exactly.
Every session. And then if I've only 5 sessions in, so I've only hit the ball 35 times. And some of those may have been drops or dinks or not even hard hits. So if I need to hit it 120 times hard to break it in, I'm a long way off. And to go back to what we were talking about earlier about how the ball actually affects play more than, a paddle probably, this is kind of getting me in trouble a little bit right now, because the ball machine is a key part of my paddle testing regime, right? So since I have only pretty new lifetimes in there, every paddle feels like more powerful than I would expect. So I'm having to like recalibrate everything, or bring another paddle that I know exactly how it plays. I was joking the other day with Chris, and I was like, I need to just bring a boomstick and a Mach 2 Forza every single time, and like hit that first and hit that first, and be like, okay, this is the range.
Here's our range. Where's the
and then test in between, because it's crazy. Like, I was specifically, this happened with one of the prototypes. I had played, narrowed down a group of prototypes, and then on the ball machine, and got to basically 2, and I had one specific favorite, and I was like, man, this paddle is so good. Like, it's got it's a power paddle, but it's like a mid-power paddle. It has just enough pop, more than enough power, feels great. And then I took that to this play session. People played with an X40, and I was like, oh my God, this is an all-court paddle. So it legitimately felt that different. And it felt way like more dead. It wasn't nearly as lively, but a lot of that has to do with the ball.
Yeah.
So this is kind of wrecking me right now. Now I understand my testing regime has to be different. I'm going to have to, use the ball machine only to narrow to a group, and then specifically test with an X40, then specifically test with, maybe a broken in lifetime and gameplay that way, and try to make sure that a paddle plays well across all of those. Because for me, I'm not just necessarily talking about for the podcast. I'm talking about testing prototypes for release, for my clients. So as I should be testing this thorough, but wow, like what a wrench it feels like.
Yeah.
Before, it was pretty much only X40s around here, and like I said many times, I kind of controlled the situation by always having a new one and always playing with the new one. So that's all I ever tested with. But now, woo,
nope, it's done. You keep it.
I'm struggling.
Giving away X40s like candy, baby.
So what's your plan? I know you got some lifetimes now, and you have played with broken in ones, so you know the potential.
Yeah.
But all your all your people hate the new ones. So how are you gonna?
Oh,
I'm
I'm just gonna start making them do it. Mr. PP is gonna command. They're
just gonna be like, listen, you complain for 5 games, and then we'll be fine.
Yeah,
We'll be fine for the next 5 days.
It's for me, I can play with an X40, but I'd rather play with a Lifetime. The Lifetime, if it's broken in, it's the best ball by far. X40,
Yeah.
I don't know what's been going on. Maybe they changed their recipe, but the last couple times I've played, I've been getting some odd bounces with the X40s.
Dude, I'm so happy you said that. I was resistant to say that on Saturday.
Yeah.
But because X40 has never been known to have bad bounces, and I'm like, this is just in my head, right?
Yeah.
But the one we were playing with was a new one, and it was like, oh, someone was like, I just got these, and they had like where it said Franklin on it,
Yeah.
so it's one of the newer ones. And I swear I was having like at least 2 weird bounces a game, and I was like, this has got to be me because I played with X40s for so long and never had bounce issues.
Yeah.
So you just made me feel a little bit better and made me feel more vindicated in my excuse. I don't know if the new X40s, you guys tell us in the comments if you've gotten any new batches and you feel like they're bouncing different, because I think in the past X40s have always known, they've always been known for being fairly consistent, just slow. And then they get really mushy really fast, but it hasn't been a wonky bouncing ball usually ever, just a low bouncing ball.
Yeah.
I don't
know. Way better than the Duras, way better than the Selkirks.
Way better than the Vulcan.
Way better than the Vulcan. It's just like, I've just been in a couple of, which is, that's fine. You can't expect a
I agree.
piece of plastic to hold its shape
I agree.
perfectly.
I think it's fine too.
But
I was just shocked by it.
Yeah, I would definitely say these are by far the 2 balls that I would recommend the highest. It's not even close for me. But yeah, I'm gonna try to move on to the Lifetime. I'm hoping that it gets adopted more in tournaments, local tournaments, just because I think it is, when they're broken in, it's a much better playing experience. So
yeah, and even for tournament directors, like if they had a basket, because you know how these balls get at a lot of these local tournaments. Like they start with new X40s in the beginning of the day, and then by the end you're playing with just like old balls. Yeah. But if those were Lifetimes, and then we ended up just playing with old Lifetimes, that'd be great.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. You let the 3-0s play with do the first division to go, and then everybody else can have the used ones. All right. We done touching on balls? Anything else?
Yeah.
All right. Let's touch on some paddles. No. All right. We're going to talk about some paddles from Luzz. These people, they've been hitting me up for months, and I've just been like,
I've been sliding in them DMs.
Yeah, y'all are like locked in. So we have the Luzz Cannon, which is this blacked out one, which actually I think I kind of like a little murdered out paddle. Doesn't
it have graphics now though, the release version?
Is what the release looks like. Yeah, I think it's blacked out. And then they have the Pro 4 Inferno, which is this is a MPP core that is supposedly floating. I don't have
actually called the Pro 4.
Yes, it's actually called the Pro 4. And now both of these paddles are elongated. Both of these paddles have dual edge foam walls. I think that on their graphics on their website, they say that they go all the way to the throat, kind of like the NF, but it's not a floating core. But I'm not sure I believe that, because these feel, specifically the Cannon, this feels identical to a Perseus 3S, like identical. Ultra stiff, very powerful, lots of pop. It felt like it had maybe just a marginally better performance across the face, because as y'all know, if you hit it above the midpoint of the 3S, it's elite. As soon as you cross that equator, if you will, it becomes just drastically different in terms of its exit velocity. This performed pretty good.
Maybe the foam is running lower than.
Yeah, so that leads me, like I said, that would probably be the thing that maybe it does run closer to the cheeks, if you will, or maybe it even does come down to the throat. But regardless, This paddle's like $110. Not sure what the price is after a promo code, but this is a good price. I mean, someone literally just texted me after I played with this paddle, and was like, "Hey, I love the Hyperion shape, but do you have a recommendation for something that's not $280?" And I was like, "Well, let me just go ahead and tell you this paddle I just played with, Luzz Cannon." Now, I have no comments on the durability or longevity of this paddle, but $100, I'm sure it's going to last as long as a Pro 4, which is not very long.
Just don't step on it.
Yeah, just don't step on it. Do not step on your paddles. You will not get a warranty claim for that. So, yeah, Luzz Cannon, I would say this is a pretty solid paddle, and one that I could actually recommend based on the very limited play time that I've had. Don't know how long the durability is going to last, but I think it's like $100 after code. Luzz Pro 4 Inferno. This one I had a different feeling about. It was a little heavier, a little more sluggish. Both of these paddles get really good spin, but there's something about the MPP core that I just don't like. And for anybody who's wondering what MPP core is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's virtually the same thing as Supercritical Foam.
So you want me to go into this?
Yeah, go ahead. Give us the
MPP.
Yeah, give us the 30-second rundown.
Microcellular polypropylene.
Yeah.
Right. So polypropylene, you've heard from polypropylene honeycomb, EPP, expanded polypropylene. That is just a plastic. It's a polymer, right? MPP, microcellular polypropylene, is a supercritical foam, but that doesn't mean it's the same as supercritical foam, because supercritical foam is a type of foam, right? It has to do with the process of how the foam is made. So in supercritical foaming, you take something like nitrogen or CO2, and then you pressurize and inject that into the polymer, polypropylene in this case, and it essentially foams up. That makes the foam. As opposed to maybe traditional foaming methods where there is a foaming agent, and then that is combined, or that is put into the polymer, polypropylene, maybe in that case, and there's a chemical reaction that makes foam. I made this like cheesy analogy to you, and I was telling you, and then I was like, hey, wait, that's kind of good. So think about chemical reaction foaming, which is maybe what we might call like more common, would be like when you mix vinegar and baking soda, and then it foams up. It creates a foam, right? So that's a chemical reaction that foams. This is not exact, but just as an analogy, all right? Supercritical foaming would be more like your barista machine or your espresso machine, where you steam your milk. You're injecting essentially oxygen or air into that, and then into the milk, and it creates a foam, right? So the reason that supercritical is worth being advertised or used as a marketing term is twofold. Number one, it's better for the environment because you're just using CO2 or nitrogen, and if that gets out of the process or whatever while you're making it, so what? It's fine. It's in the air everywhere. Like it's some of the two largest molecules in the air, so no big deal. And secondly, supercritical foam on average is lighter with more energy return than traditional foams. So those are the two advantages. So MPP is a supercritical foam because it fits under that umbrella. It is made in that method, but it's not the same as supercritical foam because that's a much larger term that encompasses a lot of stuff.
Thank you, nerd. You're so cute whenever you start going into those details and analogies and whatnot. All right. So yeah, just to kind of give the final, first impressions on these, and so everybody knows and is crystal clear. I've played 3 games with this paddle and 2 games with this paddle. So this is by no means a in-depth review. But I prefer the Canon. I think just for the price alone, it is much better. However, I don't really know the longevity of durability of the MPP cores. I would imagine that they're probably going to do better than the polypropylene. But
yeah,
There's very few on the market right now that we have, data points to, look at and see how long and well they perform in terms of durability. But this is also, I think it's like 230 before code. So
That's what I was going to ask. What's the price difference there?
Yeah, we're talking $120 or $10. Can't remember exactly what the price. Either $220 or $230 for this, but the Pro 4. But I think the Canon, if you like Yolas and you're tired of dropping 280 on them, I think the Canon's pretty solid. I enjoyed it, played well with it.
Question for you.
Yep. Canon is polypropylene, so everybody knows.
MPP. Yeah, when you say polypropylene, you mean honeycomb.
Honeycomb, yeah.
Because the other one is polypropylene too.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I need to be better about that.
You've been playing with a bunch of EPP floating cores, which
Yes.
is a similar design. Do you think MPP and EPP feel and play similarly?
No. Definitely not. I'm just basing this off this one. It feels significantly stiffer. A little tinier would probably be like a good, way to describe it. And it's not like it doesn't feel like, how foam, like you can feel it kind of like absorbing the impact a little bit and then rebounding. This is just like very quick. It feels much closer to polypropylene honeycomb than it does expanded polypropylene foam, in my opinion.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So don't think it's bad. I think some people are going to really like that. If you like stiff paddles and the foam just kind of turns you off because it's so muted in some paddles, I think, MPP could have some market share just for that feel alone.
Yeah. We'll see about the durability.
Yeah. No, I can't comment on that. But I know that my Pickle has played with the Luzz Cannon quite a bit. He thinks it's extremely powerful as well. And then I know Rafa, Pickleball Tech dude, as well, have played with it, and both have given it good reviews. So solid paddle. I mean, I really don't have anything negative to say about it. Got really good spin. The sweet spot was pretty good for an elongated paddle. It's a little bit narrow. It's it's like the bread and butter, and it's carbon 1 elongated shape where it's 16.5 by 7.4 about. So you're missing a tiny bit of room, but didn't bother me with this paddle for some reason. All right. Moving on to the hot topic, which is the Ronbus Quantas. I played a lot with the R4. These are Ronbus's new paddles. Foam core. Are these EPP? Or are these...
I don't have them, bro.
I can't remember. I need to look that up. But regardless, these are pretty good paddles. I would say they're solid. I like them.
Just remembered. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just totally cut you off. My bad.
No, you're good.
I'm horrible about that. I just remembered the X-ray. I'm almost positive it is EPP with EVA ring around the top, and then the TPE segments
on the bottom corners.
The bottom corners, the cheeks. Which, a quick aside, someone the other day was like, "Why do you keep calling this part of the paddle the booty cheeks?" And I was like, "Bro, I don't mean booty cheeks. No, this is why I called it the cheeks.
Yeah.
If this is the throat and this is the top of the head, as you follow it down, this would be like the cheeks and then the jaw. So that's why we called this area the cheeks, not because of booty cheeks.
I mean, I
just thought that was
down
funny.
with booty cheeks,
Yeah, but anatomically, I don't know if it makes sense for the analogy there.
Nothing we say makes any sense, so we can say whatever we want, dude.
That's fair.
That's fair. So this paddle is certainly, in my opinion, a power paddle. There's been kind of some discussion as to, is it all cord, is it power? This thing, let me give a perfect example. I played with this, switched to a Harmony, which is about as middle of the all court, maybe just barely higher than, mid-tier all court. This was hitting significantly harder, had significantly more pop. Feels very much like a logarithmic curve, while still being, fairly easy to control. But you definitely get that Gen 3, Gen 4 feel. It's not like it's not like a very linear response paddle. It hits hard. And then I gave it to Richie, who has been maining the Harmony, and we did one hands paddle, and he was like, "Oh, good God, this paddle hits so much harder." So, just to give y'all a comparison point, I definitely think these are power paddles. I'd be
with weight or stock.
Stock, and with weight, doesn't matter.
Okay.
They hit hard.
They're super light, right?
They're very light.
Like super light stock.
Yeah, mine came in at 107 for the R1, which is their elongated. 105 for the R4, which is their hybrid shape with a long handle. And then 103 for the R2, which is their standard shape.
And isn't this handle. Like 7.7 ounces or 7.6 ounces or something really light?
Yeah, they came. I didn't measure the static weight, but I've been seeing everybody is like 7.7. I don't think I've seen any over 7.8, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it's between like 7.6 and 7.8.
Yeah.
From what I've seen. Yeah, so just wondering, just from what I've heard from other people, is like, oh, maybe they didn't think they were power paddle stock because they're so light and you weren't getting the same plow through. But then as soon as you add weight and get it up to like what you might consider an average weight and swing weight, maybe a touch over 8 ounces, then all of a sudden it's like you unlock a ton of power.
Yeah, kind of like the C45 hybrid original. Like that's a good example. It's like stock, it feels like flimsy and light. These doesn't feel as flimsy and light as the C45s to me. I felt like they played better. Magic. Yeah, I felt like they played better out of the box. There was no like ball moving the paddles around, just like I feel like with the Paris Todd is a perfect example. This paddle, stock, the ball just throws this paddle around. Like it doesn't stand a chance. But as soon as you throw some weight on it, it's significantly better. However, these perform much better stock. I primarily played with the R4, played a tiny bit with the R1, haven't played with the R2 yet, but got a couple issues with these paddles. The feel is not spectacular. It's good. Totally fine, but it's not like the feel of the Loco, the NFs, the Boomstick, which all feel just great, in my opinion. There's a little bit more hollow, a little bit more tingy, if you will, just barely. Hit these next to the Ripple V2s, and V2s hit just a little bit harder than these in my play tests. But the thing that drives me crazy, and I've said this 87,000 times, is
I already know where you're going.
Every one of these paddles tapers from top to bottom. Every single paddle that I've gotten. I think the R3 doesn't have a taper. And basically what that means is the top corners and the bottom corners, there's a taper. So the top corners are wider than the bottom corners of the paddle, which a lot of people are like, what does that matter? It matters a lot, actually. It totally changes how much the paddle can resist to twisting, as well as the wider your paddle is, the entirety of its sides, the easier it is going to be to add tungsten weight and increase the paddle's stability and forgiveness. So these bottom corners, so the bottom corners of the paddle are going to play much less forgiving than a paddle like, J2NF or the Bread and Butter Loco Hybrid are a perfect example to give.
Like the invader shape for paddles that are actually out there in the wild.
Yeah.
So hybrid shape that goes straight down.
There's no taper from this top corner to this bottom corner. So when you put tungsten weight on the bottom corners, you could do the exact same tungsten weight on the bottom corners as you did with this R4 on the Loco, and this will increase the paddle's stability and twist weight every single time. It will be higher just because of physics than the R4, and it's going to be more stable, more forgiving, make the sweet spot feel better, and it's I hate the taper. It's just like, it's not necessary.
Choice, I feel like.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a form over function choice, because they're.
Well, people used to say it was function.
Some people like the look of. Well, they're wrong.
Yeah, like they were like, oh, it
Well,
brings
I mean,
the sweet
literally
spot
the
up
only
higher.
function that maybe could be construed as positive is that it maybe makes the balance point like 2 millimeters higher, which is like such an easy thing to change with weight anyway.
Yeah,
So if that's all you're achieving positively and you're sacrificing like literally surface area of the face and stability, yeah, I'm with you. It makes no sense. I just think that people do it because it looks good to the eye
yeah.
in certain people's eyes.
And
You
this
know, it
is
looks
not
less bulky.
not a dig on Ronbus. So many people do it. I call everybody out for it. I just, for the love of God, just don't put tapers on your pedals. It's not, in my opinion, any way, shape, or form going to do anything to improve performance. It's only going to make it worse. So even the R1 does that. I think it's like 7.3 inches wide on the bottom corners, which is like extremely narrow. And then it's 7.5 at the top. So love that they all have long handles. And Justin, you're going to love this. Hard pallets.
They went to hard pallets, yeah.
Hard pallets, big guy. They did it. $99. I can't remember when these release, but they might.
$99 after code.
Yeah, after code Pursuit. I'll be playing with those
Pretty
a lot
sure-
more. They're good. Good paddles.
Yeah.
Great price. Just a couple small things that I wouldn't say it's like an elite tier paddle, but for the love of God, if you're just looking for a power paddle that's foam and you don't need, top tier power and you just want to stay on a budget, easy recommendation. Very easy.
Just the V-Core kicking itself right now for
Yeah.
because it could have been the
Yeah.
released $99 foam paddle.
Yeah.
And that still is coming. There are V-Core versions. I think they've renamed it the V-Soul or something like that. But yeah, they would have been the ones that we would have been saying the same thing about, like a $99 full foam paddle. But,
Easy rec.
So I don't have these paddles, but you actually kind of took the words out of my mouth, and we haven't talked about this, but I have played with prototypes, let's just say extremely similar to that build, back to about 6 months ago, and tried a lot of different stuff with TPE, which is a foam that's used in the cheeks of that paddle, and I don't like it. I'm not saying I don't like it in the Ronbus. I haven't tried that one. Let me be clear. I didn't like it in any of the prototypes and chose to not use it because, in my mind, in comparison to EVA, it felt lighter, more hollow, and more high frequency vibrations, which you said tingy. So that tracks with exactly my experience. So look, I don't know, but I do find it. I haven't played with these paddles. I'm saying that again. Disclaimer. But I just think it's funny that the marketing material says that the TPE is there for stability and vibration dampening, when I'm pretty sure it's actually lighter than the EVA, so that wouldn't provide extra stability in comparison to EVA. And if it has more high frequency vibration, feels more tingy, then how is it there for dampening? I don't know. Again, that's just my experience with TPE. Maybe I'll try those one day and see if it kind of tracks with my experience in the past, but that hasn't been a foam up to this point. And I've tried multiple different configurations. That hasn't been a foam that I've enjoyed the feel of. I think the performance is actually pretty solid, but the feel hasn't been great.
Yeah, it's a good paddle. I mean,
Anyway.
I would, I'd kind of put it above the performance of like a true foam. Maybe not quite as good at generating spin, but not bad by any means. Like it's still rip spin, but it's not gonna like be on the NF, the Loco, or the Boomstick level in terms of just elite performance. Which is,
To be fair, it's $99. Yeah.
Exactly. But being as good of a little bit better than a true foam at $99, it's a pretty easy recommendation. So, well done, Ronbus. I think it's a winner. Like, it really is. It's just, I'll be doing quite a bit more testing, but first impressions after 2 heavy sessions with it, it's a good paddle. Good paddle for sure. So we're going to move on, updating you guys. We talked about it last week. Shoe reviews are coming.
Yeah, look.
Oh, baby, look at that. Look at that.
Cut in half. Everybody loves to see something cut in half.
They do.
You know what I mean?
They love it.
It's not,
They love it.
So yeah, this is if you didn't know, Skechers ViperCourt Pro 2.0.
Yeah.
And I've been diligently working on the review.
Diligently.
And all right, I'll just spill the beans.
I was about to say, you got to say it.
Oh my God. Look, I'm a noob. It's the first time making a review, but I recorded the rough cut of this review, and then I went ahead and put it in. I was going to start editing, and I was like, cool, let me just, put everything in the timeline. Let's see what we're working with. And it was 27 fucking minutes long. I did not know that I sat there and rambled about that shoe for that long. So,
Justin texted me. He was like, is that too long? I was like, yes! 27 minutes for a shoe review? Yes. That was way too long.
I went into detail, okay? You guys know me.
You did.
You've seen me ramble. So, I watched it back, and I was like, all right, maybe I can cut some stuff up and use some B-roll for transitions. And I just started trying to do it, and I was like, I can't. I literally can't shorten it from 27 minutes to reasonable. So I'm just going to have to re-record it.
We're going to aim for 10 to 12.
Yeah, exactly. And I did put a poll on the, the Chris's Discord on the court shoes section. I was like, what's the ideal length for, a tennis shoe review? And the main, or a court shoe review, and the main answer was 10 minutes, the winning answer. Although some people, I put a version on there, answer on there that was give me all the information, no matter how long it takes. And that was the third place answer. So
Dang.
Some people may have watched a 27-minute video, but
you ain't gonna catch me.
No,
you ain't gonna catch me.
No. I told you this already though, but my strategy is going to be always to put the summary, the too long didn't watch at the front, and that's always going to be 3 or 4 minutes. So if you just want to tune in and get the main points, you can always do that. Watch the first 4 minutes, and then you don't have to watch the rest.
Give me that.
But yeah, 27 minutes is a bit long. Okay, so. Yeah, I told Lewis, I was like, maybe I'll start a Patreon and put the rough cut long videos on there. Joking, by the way, guys, joking.
Oh, gosh.
That's just what every creator seems like they do in other realms. It's they release a YouTube video and they're like, and if you want to see everything, the video that happens to be just 4 minutes longer than the one you just watched,
for the small
pay for
price
my
of
Patreon.
$15 a month.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's coming. We're working on it. That's, again, going to be in collaboration with pigwell.com. So the shoe reviews will be posted on their YouTube channel, but we'll tell you guys on the podcast and on Instagram and stuff, kind of direct you there when they're posted.
Yep.
It'll be on the website and their YouTube channel.
I've been
I got
liking
some work
them.
to do. Look, I'm learning. Oh, the Skechers?
Yeah, I've been liking them. But we'll save
I'm not
that.
spoiling anything. You guys will
Yeah,
have to
we'll
watch
save
the
that.
27-minute review.
Yep. 27 minutes. Next one's you do it's 35. You're like, damn, I tried to do it shorter.
God.
It's longer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about our I guess this is probably our main topic for anything that's not our typical topics, which is switching paddles. Now,
Yeah.
is it a detriment? You already know what our answer is, but we're going to talk about our thoughts on switching paddles, how that can affect you, and people see new paddles every week and they're like, "Ooh, maybe that's the paddle that would be better than mine."
Yeah.
We're going to kind of debunk that. So, Justin, why don't you talk? I think you, given your experience this weekend, I'll let you start because you've been switching a bunch, and that's kind of fresh on your mind. So go ahead, man.
Yeah.
Spill your heart out.
So we are the extreme versions of this, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I guess, will serve as net gains, but probably only for 5% of you who this might apply to.
Yeah.
This isn't, applicable to most people. But, for context, I test paddles both for the podcast, but then in a greater capacity, I'm testing for my clients. Like I was saying earlier, it's either I'm playing basically every other day, and then in between those days, I'm having ball machine testing sessions specifically, and then the play time is usually to further test. It's like level 2 testing in a way, because gameplay testing actually is important. You can't just test only on a ball machine. It's not realistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's besides the actual physical testing of the paddles, such as like deflection, flex, and then dissecting them and looking at the manufacturing, all that. Anyway, that's beside the point. But for context, right now is kind of a heavy development phase for me. So if I
wonder why your shoe review made 27 minutes long.
Classic. You know what I mean? People call me a lot of things, okay?
Yeah.
Concise isn't one of them.
I'm sorry for
anyway
wrecking your train of thought.
Okay.
I just couldn't hold in the laughter.
No, the train was going very slow and meandering anyway, so It's all good. Could afford to stop. Anyway, just wanted to say, in the past 2 weeks, because it's been a heavy development phase, I've had 12, 23, probably in the range of 25 to 30 paddles that I've had to test and then narrow down to smaller numbers and then further test those smaller numbers of groups of 2 or 3 here and there. So it's a lot of switching. It's more than basically anyone ever needs to do, and probably more than even most reviewers do. And it has ruined me. Like, basically what I learned at Saturday is switching paddles so often, it's such like a 2 steps back thing. It just, even though I've made progress in my decision making, in my footwork, and all this stuff that actually matters, trying to get like to higher levels, you really have to examine all parts of your game, not just every shot that you hit. And like Saturday, I felt like my footwork is good. I was in the right place at the right time. My decision making was good. I was trying to hit the right shots, but zero feel. Like, and I said this earlier, you really notice it on drops, fifths, resets, and it's not like a left or right thing. It's not like I'm hitting the ball to the next court, but it's the basically the power and the feel. And switching balls made a huge difference too. I was just totally lost, dude, and it was crazy. It was shocking to me how I would hit what I would think would be a reasonable drop that I've hit 10,000 times. Regular drop, 10 feet over the net, you know, and the next one I'm like, whoa, okay. My feel is way off. Let me dial a little back. Middle of the net. And this just happened repeatedly. And then following that Saturday, you know, I was like, okay, let me see if I can recalibrate. So I just picked one paddle that I knew I can play with and just played a couple sessions in a row. And lo and behold, after 2 sessions of playing with only that paddle, the feel came back pretty quickly, which I think, you know, we're able to do because we've been reviewing and switching. But yeah, and then I was able to play yesterday pretty reasonably, and the drops were fine and everything. But coming right off switching, wow, it's crazy. And that's why whenever it comes tournament time, I do my best to play with one paddle for at least 2 weeks straight, because it makes a massive difference, especially in pressurized situations. So how that applies to you guys, dude, if you're looking for actual gains and to get better, it's almost always better to just stick with a paddle that is good enough than try to chase like, oh, this one is marginally more powerful, or this one has, the reviewer said, has marginally a better sweet spot. Over the course of 6 months, if you're switching paddles every 3 weeks, you're going to be way worse at the end of that 6 months than if you had just chosen one that was good enough, played with it for the entire 6 months, even though it has been like outdated and better versions have come out in that 6 months. That's my take.
Yeah, I have people asking me all the time, as you would expect, you know, what paddle should I get? I want to get a new paddle. This one doesn't have as much, you know, power or pop or spin as I want. And Ty, I'm looking at you, big dog. Y'all got to stop switching paddles so much. Like, you don't need to buy a new paddle. The paddle ain't the problem, dog. Just stick with your paddle. Stay with it. Marginal increases in one playing category is not going to drastically change your game. And continually switching, it's just going to do bad
Will
things.
drastically change your game.
Yes,
yeah.
100%. So here's kind of like what I tell people. It's like, when should you buy a new paddle? First, and the most obvious reason is grit's worn out. That's like, I was like, as soon as your grit's out, I think if you're playing 3-5 and above, you got to switch. You got to get a new paddle.
Yeah, and if you're wanting to be competitive more than just play for fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
You got to get a new paddle. Obviously, if your paddle's delaminated, get a paddle. things that you don't need to switch paddles for. Number one, if you just bought a new paddle and you see this other one that looks a little like it may be a little better for you, no, you don't need to buy a paddle. Just stay with what you got. Keep using it unless you absolutely hate it. Don't switch. If you're like, this paddle's pretty good, but I just wish I had a little bit more of stop. Don't say that. Just stick with what you got. If you wish you had a little bit more of something from a paddle that's already pretty damn good, you got what you need. You don't need to switch paddles. Yeah. It's just, you're wasting money, number one, and number two, you're going to jack up your feel for another 2 weeks. So it does take 3 to 4 sessions before you start to really feel locked in with the paddle.
Honestly, I think that you're saying that from a person you have practice.
True. Yeah, you're right.
Paddles.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think for the average person who doesn't switch often, it might even be longer, like 2 to 3 weeks to really dial something in. And that's why I say if I'm going to play a tournament, I try to just stick to one for like 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, and we're not trying to say like, oh, woe is me. We have so many paddles to test that we can't get better. Like, I get that we're in a position of privilege, but also we get paid to test these. And if we're talking about if performance is your goal, if getting better, if doing well in a tournament is your goal, then switching ain't it. It ain't it. If you just have a ton of disposable income and you love trying stuff and you love just getting new paddles and you don't care about getting better, then sure, dude, buy a new paddle every week. Yeah. That's for you, and that's your choice in life. But yeah, we're talking about specifically from a performance standpoint. And if somehow, this would never happen, of course, but I quit my job and then I'm no longer reviewing paddles, but I still want to play pickleball and I want to get better, I would stick with one paddle for months, for real. I can tell you that I would, and it would feel refreshing to me. So
yeah, it'd be. I get it. Gear acquisition syndrome, dude. That's a thing. Like, people want to buy new stuff. Sure. Like it, and we are in a world where ads and videos and reviews and people promoting paddles is constantly in your face. But just know, I'll give you a comparison. We'll go boomstick. This boomstick, and let's do something fairly. Let's just go with the Ronbus. The Ronbus. Perfect example. These, if you see one of these and you're like, oh, I wish I had a little more power, this is not going to change your life. Switching to the boomstick, it's not going to change your life. It's not going to change your game. You are going to still play exactly the same. You're the same person manipulating a piece of equipment that may have a slight increase in performance, but it's not going to drastically change your performance. You're ultimately the one who's in control. It can actually do more harm than good in most cases. I can't tell you a single time I've picked up a paddle and been like, oh yeah, this made me better. No, this might just be a better fit for me because I don't have to worry about popping shit up. But there's many times, countless times, where I pick up paddles and I'm like, oh shit, I suck with this paddle. This is not for me.
Yeah.
So just tread lightly. Yeah, I mean,
best case scenario, you kind of just said this, is that you take the paddle completely out of the equation of your performance. That you get a paddle and you get so used to it that you don't think about it. Mm-hmm. That's best case scenario with most equipment. Same with like shoes too. You get shoes that work for you so well that you don't think about them. You get a paddle that you get dialed in and does enough of everything that you want, 75% of everything you want, well enough that you just don't think about it.
Yeah. And
that's best case scenario for your performance, because there are more important things to think about for performance, or better yet, to not think. So if you got something that you're having to think about while playing, it's going to make you play worse.
Quite literally, I cannot think of a worse thing to think about when playing than, oh God, I don't know if this paddle's for me. Literally.
Oh yeah, or like I need to be careful because it's a little too poppy or whatever.
No. You should be playing completely free of anything to do with your paddle. If you play with a paddle and you don't have to think about it, that's the paddle you should play with. Hands down. Yep. Doesn't matter if it's a Control Valera Mach 2 Forza, or a fucking boomstick, that's the paddle for you.
Yeah.
Just stick with it and keep playing with that paddle. Refresher paddle when the grit goes out, or there's just like, there's obvious, construction issues. So you don't have to switch all the time, but if you do, that's cool too. But it's not going to make you a better player, unfortunately. Wish it did. I'd be a lot better than I am now.
You know what? Perfect segue for us to talk about what paddles we've been switching to.
New week, new main, baby. We are the.
We're the worst examples.
Now, here's the deal, guys. That segment, we said it was for y'all, but it's actually for us. We're just having a therapy session here today.
Oh, boy.
New week, new main. Sponsored by Bodie Pickleball. Bodie Pickle's got some new stuff coming, so just be on the lookout for that. If you need any pickleball accessories, almost anything.
Yeah.
Grips,
the catalog's
sleeves,
crazy.
Bags, shirts, all kinds of other insanely good, pickleball accessories. You can use code Pursuit to save 15% at checkout when purchasing anything on BodiePickleball.com. Good stuff. I can't wait to see what they got coming in the future. Be on the lookout. So, thank you, Bodie, for sponsoring this segment. New week, new main. Justin, it was new week, no main last week, or new week secret main. Are you still just gonna be a little secretive?
No, because look, I want to place in tournaments. Everything we just talked about. This was a rude awakening for me, switching around paddles. Okay.
Oh God.
And then you heard me last week being like, "Oh, I would main this paddle, but there's this one small thing I don't like. This one, but one small thing. Then this one, but one small thing." And I went through this whole list. And it's time for me to take my own advice. So the main is back to the J2NF long handle.
Oh,
because
baby.
It does mostly everything that you could want a paddle to do for me,
Yep.
I may have had, if I want to get really critical, some nitpicks about the feel. It's not my favorite. But you just play with something and you get used to it and you stop thinking about it, Yeah. So, yeah, I'm back to the J2NF, and this is what I said. I was like, let me just go back to a paddle that I know does everything well and just, like, recalibrate myself. And, yeah, this is what I went back to. I love the shape, of course, now that we have the long handle.
Yeah, it's so
and
good.
People asked last week, what's the weight setup? That is 8 inches of half gram per inch.
Damn,
So
that's a lot of inches.
But it's only 4 grams, So only 4, and I might change this actually. I've been wanting a little bit more weight towards the head, so I think I might do like a 4-corner setup again.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is where I'm at right now, kind of running up there.
Now, last week you said you were you didn't love the feel. You felt like it was like simultaneously dead, and then what else? I can't remember what the other description
it's just,
you said for it.
It's not harsh is too strong of a word, but it's got that like fiberglass flavor.
Yeah.
Which does give performance, but it isn't the most pleasing thing to feel in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's still all that's still true, but at a time like right now, like I said, where maybe I'm prioritizing performance, and I'm just gonna have to get over it. And honestly, I played with it 2 sessions in a row, and I didn't think about, I hate the way this feels a single time. It's just whenever you start getting really nitpicky and comparing a bunch of paddles that you really notice it. And that's totally personal preference, by the way. I'll still say, I said this last week, that J2 FC Plus comes with a long handle. That's probably going to be the one for me because the performance is very close, but I just prefer the feel of the FC Plus. That was true with the short handle version, so theoretically it'll be true with the long handle versions. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. Right. Literally only one paddle on the table. I'm a changed man.
You're a changed man. We've seen the light. You've seen the light.
Until next week.
Yeah, until next week. Until we... Whoa.
New week, new main.
A new paddle came out. Wow. All right. Well, I told you guys that last week I was debating which one of these paddles to play with, which is the Bread and Butter Loco Hybrid, the new foam version, and the Honolulu Pickleball J2NF long handle. Both of these are 16 millimeter EPP hybrid shape paddles, and they are power paddles. One of these is almost elite in terms of firepower, which is the Loco, and then the NF is kind of like mid to upper tier power. And the one thing that I had to decide was, is the Loco going to be too much for me to handle and cause me to kind of have to think while playing? And I played with these side by side, and the answer was yes. Like, it was just a little bit more challenging to control.
Too trash for a power paddle.
I played great with it, honestly, but there was like 1 or 2 points where I was like, that's probably not the best idea to have that in my hands for this certain situation. And
Right.
So without burying the lead, J2 NF long handle was the choice for the tournament. I literally, not once during the tournament did I ever even think about what was in my hand. Played very free. Loved this paddle. The shape and taper is just perfect. I would say it's probably this and the Chorus HX shape are the best hybrid shapes on the market right now. Loco, awesome, amazing paddle. Tons of power, tons of spin, tons of pop. Really good shape as well. Just a tiny bit short of a handle, but it was just barely too much for me to handle. And obviously, give me 3 weeks with this paddle and that'll completely change. Like, if I just only play with this paddle for 3 weeks, wouldn't have a problem with it. But I needed to play in a tournament the next day. So this is the paddle of choice, the J2 NF long handle. It is still the main. I have 4 grams of tungsten tape on the cheeks, if you will, starting just barely under the bottom corner and going to about the center of the face of the paddle. So love this paddle. Very good. Rip spin. Super easy to control. Tons of power and pop still. And just ultra stable. So yeah, I love it, man. I don't really have anything negative to say about this paddle. It's just some people think it's ugly. I don't think it's the best looking paddle, but definitely not the worst.
No. So we have the same amount of weight, but I chose to use the half
Long
gram
boy.
and spread it out more.
Yeah.
And then used basically started at the same spot though, but you just end here because you only use the 1 gram. You don't want any more weight at the head of the paddle?
I don't
That's a
feel like
preference
this
thing, I
one
guess.
needs it because of the long handle. It does have a slightly whippier feel than the original J2 shape, and I've never liked head heavy paddles anyway. Like there's only been 3 paddles that I've put weight on the top corners, which is the Neonic Flare Prime X, the C45 Hybrid, and there's one other paddle that I'm forgetting. But
those are both very thin, low balance point paddles.
yes, yeah. So very rarely do I ever do that, and I can't think of it. But anyway, yeah, I don't mind it. Obviously, it's pretty quick. Let me rephrase that. It's a very quick paddle actually. For the hybrid shape, it's moving. I think mine was like 108 swing weight stock. So it's probably sitting
What's
around
it after
one.
setup? 'Cause I think I was like 114 for me.
Yeah,
And
mine's
I
probably
would
sitting
assume
around
that mine's a touch
113.
higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that more weight up high.
Yeah.
Well, interesting
All right.
preferences, you know. Another
Mayor?
perfect segue.
Mayor Oracle.
We're just
do we got?
accidentally on these segues today,
Oh.
all right? You know, for
It's like we
NERDTOWN,
planned
we're going
this.
to talk about, but we didn't.
We
and
didn't
never
plan.
do.
Shit.
And we never do. I don't even know what I'm about to talk about in 30 seconds. So we'll see what happens. Just kidding.
Balance point.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk
Yeah.
for about 15 seconds until I remember what I'm going to say, and then we're going to get into it.
I'm joking. I remember.
Yeah.
That's why I said it was a perfect segue. So yeah, in NERDTOWN, we're gonna chew on down and talk about balance point compared to swing weight and the correlation there, and kind of the value of balance point measurements. So if you don't know, balance point is essentially the point in the paddle where it will balance, right? And I'm using my finger as an example here, but see it's tipping head and then you move it up and then, we're almost balanced. So then this area would be the balance point. How this is measured is from the bottom of the butt cap up. And people use centimeters, millimeters, whatever. I prefer to use millimeters, so it's just a little bit more accurate. So, for instance, the balance point of this paddle is about 241. So 241 millimeters up, and it usually lands around this area. And for standard shape paddles or for thinner paddles that have less weight in the face, of course, we're getting down lower. And for paddles with longer handles or elongated paddles or thicker paddles or more head-heavy paddles, you're getting higher up.
Real quick, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if you're looking to, how to measure this at home, you can do two things. You can do the finger where you balance it on, find the balance point, just leave your finger there and measure to that point. Or you can, Justin put me onto this, so I'm going to give you a shout out, big guy.
Oh, I'm about to show this too.
Oh, okay, never mind. Go ahead.
So we'll just go there,
We'll just lock
since
in,
you
dude.
wanted to take it. So yeah, a couple ways to measure balance point. The easiest way I found in what Lewis was talking about is, you can kind of see the edge of my table here, is if you balance the paddle with the handle on and the head off, and you just keep scooting to the point where it's going to start tipping like this, then you scoot back to the exact point where it balances and then let it sit there, and you can measure from the bottom up to the exact point, even with the edge of your table. Make sure it's level, make sure it's got a crisp corner, and that is your balance point. You can do this with, just a regular ruler or a tape measure or whatever. And if you want to take it to the next level, we're going to go 2 levels here. You can lay your ruler on the table where the 0 is, that's actually this way, where the 0 is on the edge. And then you lay your paddle on it, get to the point where it's going to tip, look right at the butt cap, and the very bottom of the butt cap will be right on the line of your balance point. So since I have to do this all the time, I basically made myself a little tool. This was just a scrap piece of plywood, and this is a printable ruler. You can just go online and search printable ruler, and then I printed this out, cut it out, glued it on to where the exact 0 is on the edge here, and it runs up. This is just a piece of plywood with some cork feet. Now I can take this and set it on any countertop that I want, as long as it's flat, set my paddle on it, get it to the point where it's going to balance, and then boom, look at the butt cap here, right on the ruler. This is actually 234, so I was a little bit off. But yeah, all that to say, that's how you measure it. Why is it important to measure it? I have come to the conclusion that balance points actually makes a bigger difference for feel, for preference for people than swing weight does in a way. Big caveat here, as long as the swing weight is within a reasonable range, right? If you're getting a crazy high or crazy low swing weight paddle, then it's going to feel weird. But the averages for swing weights for most shapes are within like 5 points. So for you people at home who don't have a swing weight machine, if you're buying a hybrid, you can see online what the swing weight range is. And if that feels reasonable to you and that's similar to other paddles you've bought in that weight to, then that's fine. I think you honestly don't need to even worry about swing weight. You don't need to know what it is. You don't need to try to measure it. The cheapest tool to measure it is like $300. So not worth it. However, you have a ruler, you have anything like this, you can measure balance point for what is pretty much free. And balance point makes a big difference on how a paddle feels. And we know this because that's why some people heavily prefer weighted butt caps or weight in the handle, things like that. What they're doing is bringing the balance point down like a lot. For me personally, I actually really don't like low balance point paddles, and maybe this goes back to why our weight setups are different. So I don't like weighted butt caps. I don't like weight in the handle. I prefer my balance point to be a touch higher, and here's the reason why. And this kind of plays into why I like longer handle paddles too. On shots that have any type of wrist lag, so we're talking serves, returns, drives, even like flicks and rolls in a way where your wrist is kind of following behind the rest of your kinetic chain, I find that paddles that have a higher balance point feel way more natural, and the paddle kind of follows through on the wrist lag. And that may be because I played years of tennis with much higher balance point and swing weight rackets, so I'm used to that feel. Versus when you have a lower balance point, it plays better on the shots that have very like locked wrists. So like if you need to reset a ball, if you need to block a ball, it plays better more as like a brick wall because you're holding really like closer to the center of mass here, and you're able to control the whole paddle as a unit a little bit easier. And so that's kind of the preference, I think, of why people fall into these. Maybe they don't realize it, but people who like a lower balance point are usually the people who like their paddle to feel really solid and like a brick wall, and they don't want too much like wrist action or for the head of the paddle to kind of follow through on its own. Maybe their strokes are a little bit more compact and stiffer, and the people who tend to like higher balance point are the ones who play with a little bit more whip, we'll say, and then the paddle feels more natural in that way. So how does this apply to you? Set up your paddle the way you like. Don't take any measurements. Just tinker with the weight. Be like, wow, I really love the way this one feels. Or maybe these two paddles that I've played with in the past, these have felt awesome to me. Measure the balance point on those. Get yourself like a range of like maybe 4 to 5 millimeters. And then once you get a new paddle, like I said, ignore the swing weight. If it's within a reasonable range, it's fine. Just get your static weight within what you like and your balance point within those 4 to 5 millimeters. I can almost guarantee you that paddle's going to feel natural for you. So this is a cool way at home to kind of skip the difficult stats, but be able to set up new paddles in a way that you really like. And I see this often because people ask, like, I had this paddle previously and I really liked it, but now I have this new paddle and it gives good power and, you know, I like the way the ball feels, but it just feels weird to me. And those are the exact people I would encourage to say, measure the balance point and the static weight of your old one and try to match. And, you know, racket matching or anything isn't anything new. You know, people have done this, but this is kind of the easy at-home way. And yeah, just try it out. So those are my thoughts. I think balance point, in a way, matters more to the feel of the paddle than swing weight does when we're talking about like a fine range.
All right, the nerd has spoken. Anything else we want to jump into before we leave, man?
Do you measure balance point?
Yes, but typically only on stock paddles. So I'll measure the stock.
You don't know like your ideal range or anything?
No, I don't really. I think also too the fact that I have to switch paddles so much, I just kind of roll with it. I just throw the weight where I like it and go.
This is the perfect example though, because the original J2, I don't like the dynamic feel of that paddle because with the really low throat and so much weight down here, it has a really low balance point and low weight distribution, and it's not ideal for me. And when I add weight to that J2 shape, I want to add it like way up here. But for you, that didn't really bother you. And then now we kind of see that now we're playing with the same shape, and you're happy having the weight here. So you probably prefer a lower balance point than me, whereas you hear me saying, mine's already higher than yours, and you hear me saying, I think I want it even a little higher. Yeah. So I would assume that your preferred balance point is lower than mine, or what feels natural for you.
Probably, yeah, because I did gravitate towards the NF, and then I wasn't a huge elongated player. I just didn't care for the way that they felt and the lack of forgiveness, more importantly. But now that like slightly better than just garbage at pickleball, I've been okay with the
ones that you have liked. The Franklin is the 14 millimeter, the one you like. So the thinner paddles have lower balance point than the thicker version. So and that is 16.4 instead of 16.5 length. So for an elongated, that's a pretty low balance elongated. Yeah. So it still tracks.
But the boomstick elongated in the Era, those are mid to low. I would imagine the boomstick's kind of like a higher balance point paddle. It's by no means heavy. It's pretty good stock metrics, but I don't know. I might have to look into that and kind of see where my thoughts kind of prefer, or where I kind of gravitate towards. But I don't know. Maybe that's just too much for me to think about and waste of time, and I'll be thinking about my paddles now. All right, and we just talked about that for a long time. We don't need to do that. Don't think about your paddles. All right, I think that's everything, right?
Yeah. The moral of the story from today is don't come to us for advice. We'll say one thing, and then in the very next segment, say the opposite, and then say the opposite, and say the opposite. So Who knows why any of you watch us?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, goodbye.
Yeah, bye, guys. All right, thank you for watching episode 52 of the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Lewis, with my co-host, Justin. If you have any questions, topics, things you'd like us to cover in future episodes, hit it down in the comment section below. Until the next one, we'll see you guys soon. Peace.